Hey up guys, what's going on and welcome back! I thought I'd open with this. There's quite a lot to get through, so no faffing. We start with the outs, and these aren't strictly speaking outs, these are just a couple of loans to start off with. Agueso's gone to Colm, along with his fellow countryman Gonzalez, but he appears to have declared for Spain now. There's a reason for this. Ewan Barwick, I ummed and ahed about whether or not I'd let him go out on loan, but Barnsley did come in for him late in the window, and at that point, it was a little bit more acceptable to send him out there. I was considering keeping him around as a super rotation option, but he's gone to Barnsley on loan. Also at Barnsley now is Ruben van Gastel permanently. He has been bought for £600,000 there or thereabouts. So he's finally gone, and so has the massively declined Ruben Loftus-Cheek. He's gone to wherever this is. Greece, I think. Pemberley's gone for over 7 million. Not bad for someone I picked up for 2 million a little while ago. And I got 1.5 million for him on loan last year, so he's worked out quite financially decently. I still think he's pretty good, to be honest, but it was a good offer. One that probably people are glad to see happen, perhaps, is Tony Ebersbach gone to Cagliari. He's worth 20 million there. I actually only sold him for about 12.5, which was his worth to us, apparently. But Ebersbach's finally gone. He's been here 7 years and been injured for about half of it. Weirdly, for a player that's probably been the most injured of our entire squad and barely performed when he has, doesn't have injury prone. Does have inconsistent, doesn't have injury prone. Lentas we already knew about, 12.25 million for him. Jesus Alonso has actually gone as well. Obviously, he slipped down the pecking order quite massively. He was at Young Boys last year on loan. Didn't even play massive for them, but massive injury problems for him as well. Sold him for 13 million, which isn't too bad. He's worth a lot more there, but in fact, nearly 40 million for Alonso. I do like 18 million for Jordi Escobar for a player that we brought in for free. He's good, but honestly, I think he's actually pretty decent, but the injury proneness was actually a problem. And I just really have too many players that aren't comfortable with big patches right now, I feel like. So he's gone. Obviously, we've got an abundance of strikers as well at this stage. I think 18 million is a good amount for him. And then we get to the two biggest sales, actually. Nicolas Velasquez has gone for £36.5 million to Schalke. We're paying him £80,000 a week now, which is a lot of money. But for a player that had that history of injuries with us quite early on, that big 7 month one was a big problem. Very early on, it just stunted everything that came afterwards, and a 4-week injury there as well, pretty major. Not about a year later, it's for a player who wasn't injury prone, he just had too many setbacks quite early on in his career and didn't develop as much as I would like. He is very good in general, though. I have to admit that. Probably could have and should have kept him around, but I felt like £36.5 million for a player that was out on loan last year and was only rotation the first year in the Premier League. We've done well enough without him. £36.5 million is good money. What also is good money, in my opinion, is £50 million for Leandro Hidalgo. Everton went insane. They came in for him. Initially. That unsettled him for some reason. It's Everton. I don't know why that unsettled him. But for a goalkeeper who's already capped out here at a level that's around our other goalkeeper, Dutra, they paid £50 million up front, essentially, for him. And there's another 13 in potential, or so, 12 or 13 in potential. Yeah, he's good in big games. Yeah, he's consistent. He is technically injury prone, even though we never saw it, personally. But they unsettled him with an offer initially. I couldn't win him over for whatever reason, and then they came in with an even higher offer later on, so I just had to accept it because no point keeping him around if he isn't going to be happy. And I can now see why he wanted to go. He was on about 40 grand here, but that's the outs. It's a lot of outs, and it's quite a lot of money we brought in, which means you saw it earlier on. We spent a fair bit too. I'm going to start with a player who comes in a position that we already had people in and didn't sell anyone from. I sort of did this in the vague anticipation that Madeira might go. There have been bids, but from clubs that he's not interested in. So I've not accepted them because I just know he's not going to go. Because if he didn't want to go to Arsenal last time, he's not going to go to Porto. Let's put it that way. So David Ramirez is coming in from San Lorenzo for £9 million up front, 2 overtime. This one was done at the beginning of the window before we sold anyone. Got to be said. But 18 determination, a little bit low on aggression, a little bit low on bravery, but he is an attacking winger, so that's not too massive. Great acceleration and pace, great crossing, great first touch, good enough dribbling. Corners are fantastic too. Leadership is high, passing is high, technique's not great, long shots aren't great, but he's technically an upgrade. I've got to be honest, Ponce has been a little bit of a disappointment, but he's still worth 34 million and has potential in him, so I'm going to determine. I've just noticed that. Did I not notice that determination last year? That might be a lot to do with it. But we still got Madeira, and obviously Ramirez comes in as first choice. For 9 million, well worth it. He's had a good year last year at San Lorenzo. 2 good years, in fact. Well, 1.5 good years. He's got something. Now for one that you probably weren't expecting, considering I opted against this transfer last year, is I've gone in for Ryan Brewster this year because he was transfer listed even lower than he was last year, and he wanted even less money than he wanted last year as well. 72 grand a week. Ryan Brewster is here as a homegrown striking option. At the age of 29, he's got a few years in him, of course. It was kind of necessary, in a way. This one happened quite early on as well. He also agreed to squad player time, which I think was less than he was wanting last year as well. So with an all-round better set of demands than he had from me last year, I brought him in. It's 13 and a bit million pounds up front, 72 grand a week, of course, as I just mentioned. He's a very good player. He's homegrown. He steps in as essentially third choice. And with Champions League football, obviously, this year, we need essentially quality in the depth rather than just depth. And that's what he provides. But let's be honest, the Europa League groups are a bit of a doddle. Speaking of quality and depth, of course, Hidalgo going away for £50 million opened the door. Well, it opened the door for Labad, actually. But then I kind of forgot that door was open and opened a different door and bought Christian from Vallecano for 28 million. His release clause is what they wanted. I mentioned him last year when we actually brought in Labad, who's still there, still pretty good, still developing. But I think Christian has the edge on him already at this stage. He's only 18 years old, is Christian. Bless him. But he's got good leadership, good teamwork, good vision, all that jazz. Bravery's quite high too. Agility's high, acceleration's good. Fitness is high, reflexes I like. Rushing out tendency is quite low. Throwing is good. Punching tendency is quite low too. Passing's good. Handling's good. The only thing I don't particularly like is the low anticipation and the low command and area at this stage, but he is 18 years old. You do have to expect that command and area to go up over the years. Eccentricity is quite low too, which I quite appreciate, to be honest. So yeah, he is obviously playing second fiddle to Dutra. He's actually agreed to be a backup too, so that's very handy. We'll bring him in cup competitions that aren't the Champions League or against a weaker opposition in the Champions League if we happen to get one. We knew it was going to be something good when I scouted him a while ago. So he's in now. We've got both Christian and Labad, which is fantastic work from us. I brought in another one. I brought in a free agent Argentinian goalkeeper who's now gone out on loan straight away. I essentially brought in a few free agents, young people that maybe had a bit of development room and sell on potential. They may never feature in our squad at any point, but they might develop a bit. We might get a bit of money for them in the long term. But Christian, of course, is going to be our number 2, maybe our number 1 in time. Needs to develop being a sweeper keeper, though. That first touch is problematic there. This is what triggered the Argueso loan. Emre Uzata, 90 grand a week. And this is what I'm talking about, the quality in the depth. If we're going to be in the Champions League, we need to have, realistically, 3 very good centre-backs, in my opinion. Medina and Argueso, in my opinion, aren't necessarily Champions League quality. They can do a job against maybe the weaker teams in the Premier League, but if we get a situation where we've got big teams in the Champions League being matched up with big teams in the Premier League, schedule-wise, we need options that aren't severely weakening the team. Now, between Azata and Rick, there's not a lot of difference in terms of star rating. Courage, obviously, number 1, but great physicals on Azata. Anticipation is great. Concentration is great. I love that, by the way. Determination is great. Positioning is great already. 17 tackling, 15 marking, only 13 heading on 193 centimetres. Jumping reach is very good, though. Weirdly not fully comfortable in any of the centre-back positions, but ball playing is there as well. Technique's not terrible. Passing's okay. My only concern, honestly, is the relatively low strength and the definitely low aggression for a centre-back. But yeah, he's coming from Roma for £56 million. It's quite a lot of money, but if you've not watched my 10 years in the save video from yesterday, I talk about this is unfamiliar territory for me, because obviously last year's Bradford save got cut off before I got to this point, and I've only sort of just about reached this level with Southampton lot as well on the stream save. Spending big money is something I've not really done quite that often. So obviously my instinct every time I get countered with massive money, I'm like, no, don't want him. But sometimes I can negotiate and get to a reasonable amount. 56 million, I think, might be a reasonable amount for this lad. He's got the 4, maybe 5-star potential. We'll see. Of course, he's got the development space, great stamina to boot, and well, he says could improve a lot from this, which is fascinating. And of course, 90 grand a week as well. That's quite sensible too. Courage is on 110 for the man lining up alongside him. 90 grand a week, pretty good. Preferred foot left though. Oh god, they're both left-footed. Well, I've messed up there. Didn't realise they were both left-footed. That's my bad. I did have a bid accepted for a PSG centre-back for a grand total of £100 million. He re-signed with PSG for, weirdly, less money per week than he was going to get from me. So this was the result. And then the most expensive Icelandic player in the world, Sindri Vidarsson, who was trained through at Reading. And I'm not going to lie, I completely missed that as he was coming through there. He went to Schalke last year, and then I bought him straight from Schalke. Had a massive profit for them. But it's quality in depth. You can see immediately, by the way, Seri and Grimes are now only regarded as 4-star centre-mids for us, because this lad's come in and broken the gap between them and Maxence. Maxence's still here, and as is Teko, of course. This was the reason why I allowed Barwick to go on loan, because quality in depth. Fantastic balance off the bat. Pace is good, acceleration is good, agility is good. But yeah, teamwork, vision, the mentals as a whole are all fantastic, let's be honest here. Passing and technique are good. Now, the tackling's not amazing. The aggression and bravery aren't amazing. He's not really a tackler. Again, it's weird. He's perfectly fine in both AMC and MC roles, but not 100% in any role or duty, which is weird to me. But he had a sensational year at Schalke last year. 16 assists in 31 appearances. We bought him for 73 million altogether. I think it was about 40 up front. Oh, and the one that you're probably mostly anticipating, we signed Bob English. Now, it's at this point that past Charlie is probably going to interrupt me with the highlights of the Community Shield final. So I'll hand it over to them. Hey guys, past Charlie here, just about to play this Community Shield thing, as other Charlie has mentioned at this point. Just going to bring you the goals of this, probably. No idea if any of this team are still going to be here by the time those transfer window has finished, but I guess you'll know at this stage, won't you? So, first appearances for Ramirez and Christian. This really playing Christian, even though he is worse than Dutra at this point. It's just a couple I don't really care about, so I figured to give him the game time in a match that doesn't really matter. Also, you viewers will probably already know whether or not if Rick is still my first choice defender, alongside Courage, because that's the main deal I'm working on as of right now. Cantoro scored a bit of a fluke goal. It's a little bit lucky if we're honest. Grimes, the architect, really. Saxton on this far side gathers that ball. Once lucky there. Cantoro heads it way off target at a defender. Thankfully it hits, and he's there again to poach the rebound. The initial header was woeful. We are on top of this though. Half-time 1-0. Ramirez on a 6.8 without a goal or an assist is quite nice to see from that left-hand side though. Less pleasant is the 6.3 up front. As Vidal just misses wide, I feel like it's worth mentioning. I did go in for Laidlaw at one point, but the money they wanted I just wasn't happy to pay, if I'm honest. He's unhappy there, so I figured I'd have a crack at it, but they still want far too much for him. I just figured I'd mention that because obviously Vidal's just gone close for us, and that would have been his position taken. So Budas equalised in the final minutes. It's so easy as well. It's so easy. Just corner, near post, bang, it's in. I'm not going to show you all the penalties. Brewster's messed it up against his former club. Of course he has. Worth noting, Brewster is actually a pretty good penalty taker. He's the only all-round great penalty taker we've got now. And of course he misses because that's how the game works. Your best penalty taker is always primed to fail. But yeah, if they see this out now, then they've won. Which is so unfair, if we're honest, because they've had 2 shots on target. All game. Yep, Felipe makes it 5 out of 5. Well, that's not Felipe, I do apologise. It's just Felipe's at City, that's right. An actual decent penalty taker. Typical. Anyway, back to the future. Right, so that's how the Community Shield went. 1-1. We lost on penalties. That was awful. Let's be honest. We should have won that. I did stick a friendly in, by the way, because I realised I was so invested in the transfer window, I forgot to add in any other normal friendlies. So we've only played 5. Did beat PSG in that, though. Tadcaster also just essentially to give the second lot a run out, more than anything. We returned to the Premier League, though, at Cardiff, once again, as mentioned. And we started sensationally. We scored 3 goals in the first half an hour and then just switched off, basically. We just turned off every single motor possible and they got 1 back in the second half. And that was it, really. Alois Silva, who had gone about 10 games without a goal last season, at the end of last season, scored within 3 minutes. Good way to start. Castillo and Vidal on the score sheet too. But today, they're old friends Manchester United at the neutral ground of Telia Parken in Denmark. I have no idea why this is scheduled in between 2 games of the Premier League, and I don't know why this isn't done before everything else is kicked off, i.e. even midweek before the first match of the Premier League would be sensible. But no, it's happening now, between Cardiff and Watford, who are back. This year's run-in, by the way, a little bit kinder. December, though, not so much. Arsenal, Manchester City, a Champions League group game at some point, Leeds Derby, Sheffield Derby, Man United and Liverpool. Christmas is fun. So Manchester United are favourites in this one. Major news is Cantoro is injured as well, which means Jack Harrison, who's still here, will start. Seko Koita was actually offered full wages to go on loan to Brighton. For some reason that upset him a little bit, so I promised I'd sell him for 50 million, which was his offer to me, by the way, of his value. Didn't even have to negotiate that. Obviously, that's not happened. He is wanted, though, by quite a lot of people, including big teams like Atletico Madrid. Madeira is wanted by big teams as well, like Real Madrid, for instance. Schalke too. Obviously, only the European ones can come in from right now. I'll be declining anything for Koita from the future now because Gonzalez has gone on loan. That was basically the decision. Either we sell Koita for money or we send Gonzalez on loan. We didn't get a bid for Koita in time for the deadline, so Gonzalez went on loan. Simple as that. Madeira, though, is one that may still go through anyway because we've got 3 players over here at this point in time, so it's not a huge deal if he goes. As much as his paperwork, by the way, is going through for being English citizen, so I may decline it anyway for that reason and that reason alone. But the team for this will be Dutra in goal, Saxton on the left-hand side against, of course, his former club, Courage and Ozata in the middle, Shalnan on the right, Grimes and Seri in the middle as always, Ramirez, Vidal and Harrison in the attacking lineup, along with Alawar Silva up front. One thing that dawned on me, by the way, when I was working on the midfielder situation, with Vidarson in particular and others that may have been in the mix, we were super lucky with injuries last year. Grimes and Seri were never out. We had to rotate them every now and then, but they were never out, I don't think, for any serious amount of time. I think Max Sons took a little knock at one point, but that was it. And that, obviously, he's the backup in the first place. So we were never really forced to not play at least one of them. So I think we were actually super lucky in that regard. Actually, also in central defence too. The injuries mostly happen around the outside. Oh, we get 12 substitutes for this one as well. Fantastic news. So yeah, this might be a bit of a long episode, but I just like playing a match in these first episodes of a season. Man United signed Kieran Tierney, so I did have my eye on Ben Chilwell if anything happened to either Saxton or Castillo. It's curious that they bought Tierney, though, who is of a similar age to Chilwell. But if we lost Castillo, I thought it might be amusing to have both of the English left-backs. Yeah, so I apologise if it's a bit longer, but it is what it is. I don't like to just do just a transfer episode. Duque is just running straight through us, and Sergio has saved. Lovely. Lovely work there. The 4th official behind the goal is really confusing me, by the way. Zata, I think, has got underneath that one and headed it to safety, and all good. Now, the big money signing, if you didn't see it on yesterday's episode, is Aketse, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it, the Spanish right mid, who is quite good. I say he's quite good. He's regarded as an elite winger, but I'm not necessarily certain he's worth £164 million. I'm probably about to be proven wrong by him scoring 4 here, but Alawar's coming through. Paulo Cesar actually was on my list of people who may want to join me. Like, it wasn't outside the realm as a possibility, but obviously a goalkeeper at Man United, wage-wise, was far too much for me to be considering as the replacement for Hidalgo. Kind of defeats the purpose of selling Hidalgo for big money in the first place if you're going to then spend it straight back again. Otherwise, you might as well just keep. I quite like Christian. He's already obviously a little bit ahead of Labad. Courage clears that one wonderfully. Good job there. Alawar will get on the end of this. Probably pass it out to Harrison. Come on, Harrison. Come on, Harrison. There we are. Obviously, like the one elder statesman in our entire team at this point. I mean, Dutra's 27, I think, now. Probably turns 28 at some point this year. Seri's 26. But yeah, Harrison is very much the elder statesman of this team right now. Duque, that's sensational. Just the movement, not necessarily the goal itself, but the movement for the goal was pretty good. I mean, the assist comes from the £164 million man, and Duque has 3 goals this season. Must have scored twice in the first match. Yeah, he just taps it once, and actually, I think he makes Dutra. That could have hurt if it hit him or if it gone any higher. That would have seriously hurt. Let's watch this again. I'm actually going to watch it again properly. Duque just smashes it, and I think no, we don't actually get to see the shot. Rude. We're not on top of this, actually. I'll go slightly less attacking. Grimes, I mean, this match doesn't really matter, but I felt in terms of games to bring you, the Community Shield's a bit of a nothing match, if I'm honest. Silva has just done on identical. And that might be the first time I've actually just called him Silva, which is probably the right way to address him, let's be honest, considering I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to be pronouncing Alawar, but yeah, Grimes is basically just done identical to a Texky there, and I think, no, has he megged him as well? I mean, the defenders just run straight through the goalkeeper there, a bit of phasing happening, but... And is this one going to mug us off as well? You can see the online lines. Oh, just well played. Perfectly timed by Silva there, and yeah, that's cut off as well. Identical goals on both sides. I've just looked at the Man United bench, and it has Lautaro Martinez, Sibbald, of course, who we've seen before, and Lewis Foreman. They could have 4 sensational strikers on this pitch at any one moment in time if they so desired, which is entirely terrifying. The fact they only play with 1 striker, by the way, is a little baffling considering the quality they've got. Because they've got 4 really, really good strikers, so someone's going to be missing out massively. Someone's going to be missing out slightly, and then there's going to be an actual sort of first choice sub who's probably not going to be too mad. That might be interesting to watch in terms of just unhappiness levels over the course of the year. If any of them become, oh, maybe I want to leave, because, you know, we could work our team. That's really good work. And Harrison sneaks in the back post there. Former City lad, of course. That goal kind of amused me a little bit. Chip across. Silva he gets fouled, I think, pretty much. because he gets tackled and gets put off, so I think that technically should have been a penalty, really. But Harrison just pops it into the back post. And Tierney's knackered for some reason. Grimes, it's gone in. It's gone in. It might be an accident. It might be offside or such. Yeah, it's hit Vidal. I wasn't sure who it hit on the way through. Just offside. He's a bit unlucky there. Yeah, it was Vidal. I wasn't sure if it came off Vidal or the goalkeeper. Should have been 3-1. And we've got back into it. Now, we were leading in the Community Shield, of course, and we conceded a very late equaliser. It was the 88th minute as well, which made the penalty thing even more annoying. Vidal's had a bit of a knock. See, they brought on a Lautaro Martinez as a left winger. That's the situation they're in. And debated whether or not to bring on Battams here. Screw it, I bought him for a reason. Let's play him. Like, he's not going to get that many opportunities outside of cups, so unless he goes on loan somewhere, I want to play him when I can, essentially, to sort of spur that growth on. Also, so I can do this later on, because obviously Vidalson was the other option I could have had. It's weird that he's not more comfortable as Mazzala, considering his attacking nature. Oof. Chilwell smashed that Ozata. But nonetheless, it's been put out for what is now a corner and dealt with by Vidalson, actually. So Chilwell's just decided to punt it off the pitch for no reason. Shaw's tired. Nyambi's still here. Still nowhere near as good, but physically, how's Nyambi doing? He's still really, really good physically at 31. Natural fitness up there is keeping him really sensational. Yeah, front end of his isn't great, and obviously marking, tackling, 13s aren't sensational, but he's still really good, in my opinion. I don't think he's necessarily championship level. I think Nyambi, realistically, is actually low Premier League level. Like, he'd be a good starter for the low end of it. But nonetheless, they've got that one clear and Mabry's on it. They've got quite a few people in attack. Yeah, so the things happen again. The things happen again where the defender gets stuck to the person. Yeah, Courage there. Courage has been done by the match engine a little bit, because instead of going to the player with the ball, he ends up marking the striker when there's another defender who could be doing that job. Nothing you can do nothing you can do changes that. And there's a late highlight as well, which if they still is in the last seconds, Silva will get to that first. He will turn, but he's got too many people. Out wide is an option. Harrison probably wasn't the best one, and it was a little bit too to him for that to be worth anything. And yeah, they get the ball back. Yeah, if he just played ahead of Harrison there, we might have been in a much better position, but he played it straight to him, and that halted the entire move. Nyambi puts Lautaro Martinez off enough for this to go to Sergio and probably end the match as it gets to Harrison, because we are a minute over the allotted 4 already. Why does this go to extra time? Why does this not just go straight to penalties like the Community Shield? Well, this is now going to be massively unnecessary long this episode. Harrison comes in, Grimes, Vidalson. I mean, they're playing very attacking, so I'm just gonna sit on the back foot here, just let them attack, let them burn themselves out, let them get tired, and just punish them if we can. That nearly was it. 2 tired legs in the middle here. Whatever the 4th change I make is here. Hang on, did they make 4 changes before full time? I think they might have. I mean, you got to look at Brewster here. Harrison's one of our better. Grimes for Brewster is probably something that's going to happen, but naturally I can't do that straight away. 2 minutes of normal time to go. We're just going to make that change, and it does go straight to penalties. So not really bothered by the order, but Brewster did miss the first one last time out, so I'm just going to swap Harrison with Brewster and on our way, basically. Weirdly, I'm actually in massive agreement with the automated order, other than that first one, just for those reasons. We'll still get on behind goal because whatever, but Lautaro scores the first one. I mean, arguably Man United had the better of the match in the end, but it's just irritating to lose it the way we did. Harrison scores. I'm generally a little bit fed up of that because it happens far too often. Just your defender gets stuck to the striker as another person's just running through, and it just happens every time. There's no way to stop it. It doesn't matter how much pressing or how much lack of marking you put in your orders, because let's be honest, the rest of the time you actually want them to be doing that anyway, in general. And it doesn't even turn off even if it's not on, I don't think. So Mariba, though, makes it 3-2. All 5 penalties scored so far. Ramirez steps up. Average rating-wise, we actually did have the better. 6 out of 6 in total. Duque, of course, their main striker, the one that essentially facilitated the goal by existing, scores, sends Duque the wrong way. Silva's turn, our striker. Weird how they both in exactly the same slot, weirdly. Both 4th. Scores. I mean, it's a good penalty shootout, it's got to be said. Irritating that we have to go to a penalty shootout midweek between 2 Premier League games for no reason. Tonali, 5 out of 5 for them. And our pressure's on someone with composure. I think it's Vidalson. Yeah, it's Vidalson, who has decent composure. Same penalty taking level as basically everyone else. I think that about 4 players we have with 10 penalty taking, but he's the one with the composure. So he steps up 5th. David Battams is 6th, by the way, on this. He's hit the post. Of course he has. So we've been mugged off in both of these cup final things. I just completely unintentionally told my defenders I was unhappy with their defensive work, which is technically true, but it's not their fault. I actually get 3 million for that. But anyway, in terms of the group schedule, I think we'll just obviously do the first Champions League game. That's the most important thing, most important new thing this year. Carabao Cup, won't really care about it too much. FA Cup, we won't really care about it too much. We've won both of them, of course. Champions League, and we're kind of at the stage where we kind of want to be focusing on the big Premier League games. But yeah, that first Champions League game, along with probably Leicester. Otherwise, the rest of this year, we'll be skipping quite a lot of the Premier League unless it becomes super important. Until next time, ta-ra!